What's up, guys? Ninja on the ninja. Anyways, let's see here. Yeah. Okay. So I had to close League because my computer cannot take it. But anyways, I got a video for you today, as always. As always. Yeah, I need to restart my computer because it's already fucking up. So anyways, so let's see here. There we go. Um, it's called Aswan Gold Loves Genocide. It's uploaded by Planet Peterson, who has 40,000 subscribers. This was posted 9 months ago with 6,000 views. I chose this video because I have reasons. That's like just shut up. Anyways, so now I wrote a script amazingly because I can talk forever about stuff. Because I'm an alpha like that. I'm what's up. I'm the real deal. I don't have this fucking insecure bullshit and whatever and blah blah blah. My problem is that people are too stupid for what I have to say, so I just tend to be quiet. Because people don't like if they're talking about something and they can't figure it out, I'll chime in. But for the most part, I just listen. I observe, right? Cause I'm a good dad. I'm a good alpha. I'm a good watcher. Right? I'm a good listener, right? Because I'm the shit. Anyways, so before I start, I just wanted to say one thing, and this is written by you edit too much. Fake alphas are the issue. Stop it. That isn't what I wanted to say, by the way, but that was a note I added later. Because after watching it, like throughout the video, I hate when people what they do is they edit anytime they look this way or look at this way or they say or they forgot what they're talking about or they hide their flaws and they pretend it to be something, and that's the problem. But I'll get into that hopefully. I've been asked. Oh, so okay. So before I start, I wanted to say something. Here's the thing. So I have been asked where I stand. Are you red or are you blue? And my response is that I stand with the stars and stripes. Basically, I'm not red or blue. I'm stars and stripes. I'm red and blue in essence, right? I have no allegiance beyond, or I have no allegiance and I have no pledge to any person. I only have one. I only have the one to a nation, and that's it. That is why I can see with clarity, and I am without bias because bias and without judgment, because I am unbiased and I am true. I am the ultimate alpha. With that, let's go. So that was the intro, right? So, okay. So there's a video. Cool.
Yeah,
Skip.
condemn an action like October 7th, for example. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to moralize the situation or try to make excuses for any side. All I'm going to do is point out that if you think X is wrong, then you can't say X is not wrong just because somebody else did it, for example. I saw some clips from that.
So you can see the edits and whatnot, and he's reading from a script. That's fine, but the problem is, again, like, be clear about that. Let people know. Stop lying. Stop pretending. Right, and that's the problem. Is our nation is full of people who fake it till you make it. Basically, it's literally that. It's they can never do it, and so they lie about it, and then they get it, and that now they have it, and the person that could do it doesn't have it, and so we have someone who's faking it who can't do it, right? Who's faking it in the position of someone that should do it who can, but instead we have someone who can't, and the system falls apart and it buckles. So this is why most stores suck or fall apart, is because they have workers that pretend to be workers, or they pretend to care because the manager's there, but when the manager's not there, they fuck around and they just kind of whatever, and people are stupid and don't pay attention. That's what's going on. So anyways, um, so sometime around 4:30, right? It's 4:38. I'm not too sure, but it sounds to me like you are finally discovering and realizing that the world doesn't work as it seems. Okay.
Recent hospital bomb, but I'm going to say so patient the thing.
Okay.
Congrats. Stuff is just think about whether or not you agree with it. I'm only going to with that, which is why I'm going to do this.
Okay.
I want you to read this and just think about whether or not you agree with it. I'm only going to leave this up here for a little bit, so pause to read. This is word for word the letter Osama bin Laden wrote.
By the way, you pause it too. Read it, find out, be informed. Basically, know what you're reading, know what you're looking at. So, yeah.
This is word for word the letter Osama bin Laden wrote to justify attacking America. All I did was replace United States, Israel, Jews with Palestinian and Hamas. If you think it's fine that kids are being killed, then congratulations. You think the same way Osama bin Laden thinks. If you think, well, it doesn't count if they're Muslim, then you don't know how to think. I detest Hamas. People have compared their actions to slave rebellions that resulted in massacres and said, well, because slavery was bad, they...
See how, like, he keeps looking to the side? This is a person who is literally, like, there's the difference between intelligence and education. And what you're looking at is an education pretending to be intelligent, essentially. And that's the problem with the world, is we have a lot of educated people who don't know what the fuck they're doing. And so alphas, people who do know what the fuck they're doing, are being swept on the side. We don't need you because we have people who pretend, and that's the problem. The world is being replaced by AIs. He's an AI, for an example, because he's reading from a paper. He's not actually speaking. He's speaking on behalf of somebody else, and that's kind of what Conan O'Brien is. Stephen Colbert, all of these people. What's his name? John Oliver, to an extent. Like, I think there's more to John Oliver than just that, but again, like, most of what they are is not what they actually are. There's a saying, don't shoot the messenger. Nowadays, I don't know if that would apply, because most of the time, the messengers, you're egotistical bastards, basically, and you're acting like the message is yours, like it came from you, but you're just passing the message on, but you're acting like you're saying it. And that's the fucking problem. That's the fucking problem, right? America, the government is great, but the problem is the workers suck. They are failures. They're losers, and they owe people things. They don't owe what's called. They don't operate to serve the system. They're serving somebody particularly. You know what I'm saying? That's why America sucks, and that's why the government sucks. Don't hate the system, hate the game, right? Don't hate the player, hate the game. But it's the system, it's the people in the system, basically. If you took them out, put the Comey and all them fuckers back in there, the ones who actually did a good job, then we'd be good. We'd be good. But we have fucking assholes that fucking pretend to know what the fuck they're doing, and they can't. And they don't know. Right, and that's the battle. We have some people who do know and some people who don't know, and the people who don't know are owned by someone else, basically. And anyways, so what the fuck is here? Okay.
Won't condemn the rebellions, and by extension, they don't condemn retaliation for armed occupation. To me, that's not me. Saying, well, what do you expect to happen doesn't mean that you can't also condemn an action, like October 7th, for example. Now, I'm not going to sit here and try to moralize the situation or try to make excuses for any side. All I'm going to do.
By the way, I noticed in one of my last videos that I need to stop talking while other people are talking because you can't hear me. But basically, what I said was keep reading, basically, because that's what he's doing. He's faking like he's something when he's nothing. I don't know what the fuck he is. I don't know where he stands. He's reading from a paper and he's clearly scripted all the way up. Like most of what I said so far is unscripted. I'm being clear with you, like what is scripted and what isn't, because the fakers, they need you to believe in a lie, whereas me, I need you to look at me. That's it. Just pay attention. And suddenly you'll be like, oh yeah, he's faking it. You're not. They don't want you to see that. They don't want that shit. I've been doing it. Anyways.
Is point out that if you think X is wrong, then you can't say X is not wrong just because somebody else did it, for example. I saw some clips from that recent hospital bombing. Maybe you've seen some of them too. The bombing, it caught these various tents that were just outside of the hospital being used to house patients. It caught those tents on fire, and you can see hands deep within the inferno.
By the way, did you see that? Just real quick.
And you can
see that. That's notice, pay attention. That's opiates. Basically, that's a drug. He's high, and that's what he's doing. A lot of people are high. They found a way to get high and to cover it up, but a lot of them are high, and that's where they're getting the ability to step forward and make the recordings, and they're full of shit. And most people don't do what they're doing, but because he's high, he's doing it, and that's what a lot of it is. Most rock stars and most entertainers are fucking stoned out of their fucking mind. You know what I'm saying? They're fucking lit or something, and that's why they're out there, basically. And I'm not bashing on it, but the problem is when you are that only because of that. You know what I'm saying? Like, when you're sober, can you push that narrative? No? Then shut up. You know what I'm saying? That's it. If you get stoned, if you smoke, whatever, I don't care. It's just, can you normally do that? No? Then shut the fuck up, bro. The reason why you're up here is because you're fucking high. What happens if you're sober? You're like, anyways. Oh, shit.
I've studied the kids, for example. Kids who...
clicked. No. I don't know what the hell this is. Okay. Maybe it's something I don't know. It's Jordan Peterson, but anyways.
See hands deep within the inferno reaching up, just completely pointlessly.
I'm continuing. Okay. So sometime around there. So I'm not too sure, but it sounds to me like you're finally discovering and realizing that the world doesn't work as it seems. In that letter that was written by Osama bin Laden, he states that people who voted for what they got, or voted for what they got what they got. And my point and my contention was that the world does not seem to work, and that our voting system has been rigged by the rich and powerful. But Osama seems to think that is not true, and the world actually wants this, but it actually doesn't, basically. And so, like, I actually think that 80% of America is like, fuck Trump, but 50%, not 50%, but it's purported that 50% does, and the reason why is because half the nation didn't vote. But again, it's the way they're carrying the message, basically. Right. Back in the day, they say, don't shoot the messenger. I'm just passing a message. But the problem is, if you go and fucking do what Fox does, it's a message. If you go and take that message and you do what Kyle Kalinske does, let me pull my paper, fuck it. The Downfall of America paper. Okay, so I have people: Luke Beasley, Adam Mockler, Chris Mowry, Kyle Klinsky, David Pacman, The Rational National, Philip DeFranco, Colton Wexler, Hassan Parker, Tim Pool, Caroline Levitt, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, Lord Trump, Mike Huckabee, Kellyanne Conway, Peter Ducey, Caroline Levitt, Asbon Gold, Long Island Audit, Sean Head, Destiny, Bill Burt, Russell Peters, Conan O'Brien, Nero Zerg, Neil deGrasse Tyson, Kaku, the science community, the rock community, pop culture community, all of the communities. Imagine all the movies you watched and such. Not all the movies, but some, right? There's some movies that exist out there. Anyways, Tyler One, Now Blue, Night Blue. Basically, the point is they are people that will say a message, even they're fake. The fakers, right? They are ego-driven reporters, right? But they're idiot self faker gammas, right? That's what I have them as. So that's what this is, right? Osama bin Laden is also. I'm gonna put him on the list. Osama bin Laden, because apparently he's one of them. He believes the world got what it wanted. Osama bin Laden. Okay. Most people don't care. The problem is that the rich and powerful are intentionally trying to split hairs and make people fight because that is the only way they can stay in power, divide and conquer. Right? Think of divide and conquer, that's all it is. Before the influence happened, people would have a beer with one another and be fine about anything. Things might suck, sure. Things might not go how they want them to go, maybe, but they will still live their life, and that's fine back then. But now people are up in arms about things, and the shit is crazy. And really, the only people that are the bad guy is basically the bootlickers. And the fact is, they will go so far. They will go so far to obey orders, and they will do so without question. And that is the violence that we see, and that is the violence that we react to. Bullshit. React to. And then they try to use that violence that we are reacting to justify. Oh shit. To justify more violence, and it is exploited, and this is why in the and it is exploited, basically. So there's violence, right? They create violence, and the violence comes for that violence, and then they act like you being violent started it all, but in reality it was like, kind of like how they're trying to say, oh well, how the fuck does the Democrats always talk about the gay people? The reason why is because you're always attacking them, right? And so we bring them up to defend them, but you then now mention our defense as if we're bringing them up, but in reality it's we're stopping you from taking away their rights. But it's the way that they're phrasing it and telling, again, that's why I say shoot the messenger, right? The world changed, shoot the messenger, because the messengers are full of shit nowadays. But yeah, in the Bible, God says to learn to turn the other cheek. Because if you did, all this would not happen. It would not go so far. Basically, if so, they would start something, and you would stop it, and then they would try to start something, and then she's like, nope, nope, and then it'd go away. Kind of like with the Bernie Sanders. I'll get into that later, maybe. That should be proof enough for Christians that Trump is not Christian and his leadership is not through Christian roots at all, or else this wouldn't be happening, right? And now this is the main thing I wanted to say something about. This is literally what is going on. Wait, what the hell? Oh yeah. Wait. Um, so what is going on? They're taking advantage of past. They're taking advantage of past votes. I forget what they're called. Precedent, I think. Oh, so I think I fucked up. I put the wrong time, maybe. But I'll read the comment just in case. And now this is the main thing I wanted to say something about. This is literally what is going on, and they're taking advantage of past votes. I forget what they are called. Precedent, I think. Anyway, the point is that they will either say that it has been done before, so we can do it, or they will say it hasn't been done before, so we can do it. Um, Basically, you know what I mean. Yeah. So whatever fits, as long as it gets them closer to their goal, they will do it. And that's the problem. People are too stupid to stop it. They're too stupid to understand. Like they're exploiting the system for their own benefit, right? So age 55.
As these people burned to death. There's also, in the video, I saw people who are on fire crawling over broken. Pharaoh was the only person who had any say in whether or not Moses and his people were going to be let go. But children of people that were powerless about this were killed, and the response is they fucked around and found out. Really. If you're ever having a conversation with somebody about this kind of thing, simply ask them if they think a justice system, a judicial system in America that operated that way would be good. Ask them if they think it would be appropriate for somebody who committed a crime to take random members of their family and have them punished, really in any way. I mean, you can say killed, but any kind of.
So, that's basically the type of person that would lead such a movement, and that is kind of what the world is full of. It's what I call false alpha or fake leaders. So I'm gonna go back to the start again.
Somebody is they that were who had any say in whether, actually how he put it. Pharaoh was the only person who had any say in whether or not Moses and his people were going to be let go. But children of people that were powerless about this were killed, and the response is they fucked around and found out. Really.
Okay. So yes, basically that's basically the type of person that would lead such a movement, and that is kind of what the world is full of. It's what I call false alphas or fake leaders or fake to make it people. Basically, let me fix that. So basically, think of streamers, and most streamers, what they're called, are influencers, and what they're trying to do, or what they are doing, and they have been doing for years now, is going on. Say there's a march or something, right? Like say there's a march. What the hell? They will go into it and try to. Oh, I think I remember this point. So, Black Lives Matter, Antifa, um, the March of the Capitol, all of that crap, right? Like, you remember all that crap? Well, there was somebody inside that who was trying to make it worse. Like, there was a march, like, to anything, Antifa, the Capitol, whatever, and they tried to break into a car. They tried to flip a car. They tried to light a building on fire. They break into a building, and they try to they theft, they steal, or whatever, and they're using that chaos as cover for them to do crimes, basically. For them to be able to break into a car and steal all the car's possessions, basically. Like, they're taking, like, you can imagine, like, a march without a leader is like a bull in a china shop. And all they're doing is taking that bull and then pulling it to the left, and so now the march goes to the left. You know what I'm saying? That's what's happening. That's what's happening, basically, because that's leadership, right? That's why your leader really is important. Basically, I think and that's what I was saying with most streamers, and they're called influencers because of that very thing. Like if they have a product to push or a march that's going on, they'll use the influencers to influence people and make them turn the way they want them to go and such. And that's basically been going on for a very long time. I would even say back with the original march on the Capitol, um, what's it called, the Take Back America, that Trump started, and Hang Mike Pence and all that shit, and then even Antifa, Black Lives Matter marches, like they just want them to be as horrible as they can make them be. I wouldn't even say that they marched our capital. There are people trying to start shit there as well, and that is why some people were like, "What the fuck? We didn't do anything." But at the same time, while there's so many people broke in and whatnot because they're trying to stoke fires, right? Basically, that's what I've been saying for a very long time, basically, and we're just seeing proof of it more and more, and like it's getting more and more obvious that the Trojan horses exist, and that people are leading and trying to influence the Pavlov effect, as I call it, is real, right? Pavlov is a psychologist, basically. Let's do this. I don't know where I'm at. Okay. So Pavlov had dogs, and what he would do is give them steak and ring a bell, and then they would drool and eat the steak, and he'd give them steak and ring a bell, and he did that for like 10 times. Then he'd ring the bell, and the dogs would still drool, but there was no steak, and it's because a habit was created, and he wanted to prove it back in the day, right? And that's what's going on today with the marches and such, and whatnot. And bell, that's what they call whistleblowers and bell whistles and shit, whatever. That's where it's coming from. So, um, but yeah, I don't know what more I can tell you on that as far as they're trying to make shit happen. So 925.
If you ever had a afraid of them punished
Whoa.
to take random members of their family and have them punished, really in any way. I mean, you can say killed, but any kind of like a fine.
So first off, you see a sniff.
In any way. I mean, you can say killed, but any kind of like a fine.
Yeah, drugs. But anyways, you need to stop. Basically, what you're doing is just justifying their actions, or you're telling them how they can tell themselves how to justify their actions. Basically, you're awakening the evil to be more evil by asking such things. So stop it, basically. Again, like watch it and then look back at what I'm talking about. If I'm not being clear enough, let me know. Like tell me what I need to do more better, right? Like if I need to play the whole video, so be it. Because I'll admit my timestamps fucking suck right now. Hopefully I'll get better as time goes on, but we'll see. So 952 is the next one.
The children of somebody for committing a crime. Or you can just very generically ask them, is it ever appropriate to punish somebody for a crime they didn't commit? I've never once had anybody say yes to that, but then they make excuses for when it happens in the Bible. See, these people, their brain does work. They are better people than their beliefs, than what their Bible says, because they don't actually believe these kinds of things for the most.
So what he's talking about, it's called bias. I know it well. As an alpha that is good and exists for good, people for the good, and for the good of people in society and whatnot. People always say I'm egotistical or I'm an asshole for pointing things out or I'm hateful or whatever. No, there's no hate. I'm just saying the truth, right? It's just, that's all it is, right? That's all it is. And so I've been dealing with bias all my life. This includes my family, my friends, and you name it. And the reason why is because the evil in the world that wants to divide us and conquer us, they are getting lessons and cues, the Pavlov effect, right? To be a certain way. And so when they deal with a certain thing, there's a reason why people hate know-it-alls. And in truth, you shouldn't hate a know-it-all, but that bias is created so that you hate know-it-alls when that know-it-all could have been the reason why we cured cancer. You know what I'm saying? You don't know what the fuck they are, but you hate it because that's just kind of right. And why you believe in gangs and why you think gangs are a thing and blah blah blah, territory and land and all this shit, and they're just looking for power excuses or whatever, and just the bitches that can fucking take over. And anyways, they're building up false alphas and streamers and broadcasters and people and such that will sell out basically, and those people who are basically gold mines for those people, and they will make a lot of money for companies, but they will also sell a message if you give them one to sell, and that was basically happening, basically. Um, and while that is happening, they try to shut everyone else down, and the perfect example of this is the Bernie blackout, basically. It's bias, right? And the controlling bias to make someone stand out while they shut somebody else up. Basically, and the perfect example is Bernie Sanders and the Bernie blackout. And yes, that's right, the Bernie blackout. It did happen. The fact is, they stopped talking about him because they couldn't say anything at all, especially anything bad, because all it did is made people more invigorated and made him pop up more. And obviously, they can't say anything good, or else that would be good. So they can't say that. So whatever they did, they couldn't do anything. So they just shut up about him, and that's the Bernie blackout. And that is what they did. Reporting the presidency, they would announce who was in first and who was in the third, and intentionally not mention who was in second because they were trying to shut up about Bernie Sanders and make him fall out of basically the common tongue. I don't know if that's the right word, but it's that row. Essentially, they're trying to turn us into animals and only living for the day, or at least having a short term memory and a short mindset. And so that's working, basically. And that's kind of what people are going through. People are not living for years, they're dying like young because of this. They have no long game in mind, they have no long term memory because of this bullshit. Like they used to live for 90 years, now they're making it to maybe 60 because they have no future planning, they have no sense of worth or value, no true worth, no true value. So longevity or future planning or whatever is gone. So instead, they live for the now. And by default, if you don't talk about Bernie Sanders this week, then he's gone forever. You know what I mean? Like that's basically the mindset I'm trying to get to you to get you to understand. And that's what's happening in the world and the population. And that's why they say man is smart, but men are stupid, right? Because that's what it is. So at least that's the case for the middleman and the bottom man. If you're an intelligent person like myself, you would have voted for Bernie Sanders, or you would have done what most people do and just vote blue no matter who, right? Because that's just kind of what you did. And you did that because you had to. The fact is, Bernie Sanders wasn't on the ticket, so you couldn't vote for Bernie Sanders unless you wrote him in, right? But the point is, that's what it was, right? That's what it was. So, because Bernie lost, because there was enough long-term thinkers, that's what we got. And that's why my list. That is why my list of people which I read. What? Huh? Persons in the majority did not vote blue because you had to because Bernie lost because there was enough long-term things basically. So basically, the people who control the thoughts, essentially. That's how I'm gonna lead into it. So all the bad people, they're fucking the world up. Paul Ryan, Steve Bannon, Jeff Sessions, Lindsey Graham, Jim Jordan, Pete Exeth, RFK Jr., Matt Gaetz, Lauren Boebert, Marjorie Taylor Greene, Fox News, Marco Rubio, Ginny Impero, Jubilee and owners, Netflix and owners, Ben Shapiro and Friends, Paramount Global, PMN, Paramount Media, CBS, Columbia Broadcasting System. And I wanted to say the name changes basically so that they can dodge penalty or punishment, essentially. And they've been doing this in China. I read about it before in China. They've been doing it in China. But imagine Trump and his leg splits. Basically, it's the same thing, but for companies, they change the names to avoid punishment and penalty and whatnot. And that's, again, what they've been doing in China. And now it's happening in America for some reason. I wonder why. Right, China, Russia, right. It's all true. It's all true. Then, and again, it may you can say it's a hoax, but there's a reason why so many fucking Russians were arrested, right? Because it wasn't. There was actually influence. But they fucking what's it called? They're able to write it off, despite the fact like, oh, it's 49% guilty. So because it's 51% innocent overall, it's a hoax. It was a hoax because only 49% was true and not 51. You know what I'm saying? But the thing was, 49% was true. That's still bad. You know what I'm saying? It shouldn't be that. That's still bad. Like anything above 1% is bad. You know what I'm saying? So Apple TV, Omos, and Snoop Dogg, Ted Cruz, Tucker Carlson. Basically, those people are what I call Trojan horses, or media influencers, or blah blah blah, bad leaders, false skulls, false alphas, fake it to make it, trying to make things worse. Basically, there's a John Oliver video with Kamala Harris, and she's talking. She said something like, "What we're trying to do is kind of involved, but not really." And John Oliver was like, "What the fuck, man? You can't say that. That you're not saying anything. You're not saying anything." But I was like, "Dude, she said enough. Like that was kind of a lot if you actually know what the fuck she was." But anyways, the point is like there was what's it called? A misunderstanding. He didn't understand. If I explained it to him, he'd be like, "Whoa, like, oh my god, I didn't think of it that way." And that's what happened, basically. And so he kind of proved that we have bad leaders, or misintentional, or unintentional, or right? It could be unintentional, or it could be that they're trying to make the world worse, right? So it depends. But they are all striking and gassing, clashing, splashing, and mashing, and dashing, and whatever. Basically, and they're trying to rig the system so they can win next time, much more likely than they did this time. That is why they want to control the mailing system, and that is why they want control of anything at all, period, so they can decide who wins, much like in Russia and China. But the trick most people in China, but the trick most people into just going along with it, because most people can't do anything, or they won't do anything. So they, the bad people, do what they're doing, and it's all because nobody's there to stop them, right? And so they trick the majority into doing just whatever the majority goes along with it. And so the people who have a brain, who can actually do something, have no choice but to go along with it, right? And the reason why is because the majority is against the smart people that they have, but they are for the evil smart people because of bias and influence, and the fact that they're rich and they pay for the influencers, and whatever. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully you're getting this. If not, let me know to explain it more. Anyway, that's it. And then I said, no, wait a minute. Yeah, I got like 2 minutes left. Fuck it, we'll continue. So 10:58.
Most part, these their children on the altar of Molech or whatever it is, and so you ask them, really, the children were sacrificing children? No, then it wasn't okay for them to be killed. And you either get something like God can do whatever they want, or it's fine because the kids automatically go to heaven anyways. There's an academic term for this. It's called making shit up. But this is what you get.
Okay, the Bible was just an easy to trick population. People who believe in God were easy to trick because they believed in God. Not so much that they believe in God, but I call it basically like an open room fallacy. And the thing is, you believed that was God's room, and every time you left, they went in there, did whatever the fuck they wanted to do, took whatever they wanted, and left. Meanwhile, the next day you'd show up and put blessings and money, like this is for God, this is for God, this is for children, this is for all this good, and you're putting all this stuff away, but in secret somebody's stealing it, and you have no fucking idea because you're doing it for God. And you may have your heart in the right place, but they had, basically, they put a pan under it, and they're taking and robbing it, basically, and you're too stupid to realize. And it's not your fault. You just believed in God and all that shit, and they're exploiting you. And that's the problem. That's the problem. That's the issue right there, right? And the same truth is for the military, because just create bias enough or just create bias for enough people, and you are in, is what I said, right? And that's what it is. Bias through the Bible, bias through the military, and there it is. And now you have Trump as president on that side, right? And because that side is the majority, well, I guess we lose, right? At the end of the day, that's what happened. The red side chose Trump, and the blue side was against it. But there's more red than there was more blue. Or there's more red than there was blue, so the red won, and now you have Trump, right? Yeah, that's the problem. That's where we're at right now. And there were some people in the red that are like, no, and there's some people in the blue that are like, yeah, I'm sure, but anyways, the issue that most people in the government faced when doing this whole procedure was the fact that they had to go and went over the blue side, and they didn't have the people who were into Bibles. Oh, then the issue for them was, okay, so the problem essentially for the Trump people, like the people that were easy to trick for the Bible and the military, that truth was not true for the blue side. That's why we were able to stand, or that's why we were able to hold, and why the corruption was fought and stopped, and why everyone was like riding the front horse, like yeah, and then they went to the blue side, and then they started hearing gunshots and arrows are flying by their heads and soda cans are flying by and gumballs and shit. And they were like, oh shit, we better quiet down. And then now they're trying to act like they never had anything to do with it, but they're trying to keep the movement going because now there's accountability and not everyone was tricked. So that's what happened basically. And like I said before, and like I've been saying for a long, long time, the reason why America is still standing is because we were divided red and blue. If we were all red, we would have fallen. If we were all blue, we would have fallen. But because we were divided, one trick, one gimmick wouldn't work. And that's why we stood. Basically, the fact that we're so unique and so individual, that's why that's why movements like fascism and whatnot can't win, right? Because there's so many of us and we're all independent thinkers. And the problem was, literally, if you step back and look at it, I'll post at the end of this, the video is called Don't Be a Sucker. That's what the red side was. Literally watch that video after you watched this. Like, if you watched it, cool. Watch the video after. There's a reason why I always post it after, because literally that's what happened. That's how Hitler gained power. That's how Germany fell. The reason why America would have fallen just like Germany back then if it was all red, right? Germany was all red. That's why they fell. When Trump showed up over there, they were like, fuck yeah, and that was Hitler, right? Trump was our Hitler, not because of Trump, but because of the people that Trump rode with, right? Trump was just a Trojan horse for that ideology, basically. And there's a reason why Jordan Peterson's like, it's boring to speak to ideologues because there's nothing. They're books. They're just books. and all of them are the same. There's no individual person. Like Jordan Peterson would love talking to me because I'm not just, I'm a real alpha. I'm a real person. I'm the real deal. I'm like, uh, there's a reason why I'm a coach and why I've never won in most of the video games I play. It's because I fucking know. But anyways, yeah, that was that. Check out the video. Asmon Gold loves genocide. Planet Peterson, 44,000 subscribers. Only has 6.3 over 9 months. I probably shouldn't have done this, but again, that's good, enlightening video. I think if you understood what I was saying, basically, if you're able to follow what I was saying. But yeah, anyways, that's it. Be well, be happy, be safe, take care. God bless, Godspeed. God bless you, and take well, take it easy. Godspeed, like I said. And praise be to Allah, praise be to Yevon, Final Fantasy 10 God. Yeah, and peace.